Oh, I think they're doing a great job. A lot of them are.
Good afternoon, Dwayne. How are you?
Not too bad, sir.
Ladies and gentlemen,
Radio Cayman's Talk Today with Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
But I do have some questions.
There are more questions than answers.
Radio Cayman's Talk Today. If you're ready to talk, we're willing to listen.
Well, I really enjoy this program today.
Cayman Islands' foremost listeners participation program.
May God bless every person.
Hey, good afternoon and welcome. What a wonderful Wednesday. Maybe a little bit wet. Hopefully, that's just on the outside and that you haven't seen any leaks through the roof, the windows, or anywhere else. All is dry in your part of the world it's supposed to be. Well, we want you to be a part of today's discussion as we invite you to call and share your thoughts. Stay tuned for Talk Today.
Radio Cayman's Talk Today, the Cayman Islands' foremost listeners participation program. We ask our listeners to avoid statements or comments which are abusive, derogatory, malicious, or defamatory. Do not use any indecent language or make any statement which is false or misleading. Email talktoday@candw.ky or call 1-800-534-8255. Courtesy of Flow.
Cayman's #1 network that connects you to your world like never before.
Let your voice be heard. Once again, here's your host, Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
Hey, good afternoon and welcome. Thank you for joining us as we invite you to be a part of a discussion. We're supposed to be expecting some guests to talk about Cayman Thanksgiving. And if they find their way to the studio, we shall have that conversation. But even if they don't, we still want you to give thanks. Recognize this weekend is not just, sort of reserved to celebrate, but in every day, in all things, give thanks. And as you see, there's a preview to what it means and the season in particular as an opportunity to truly, very deliberately share in the spirit of giving and thanksgiving. But in the meantime, we invite you to call and share your thoughts with us, 949-8037, or you can email talktoday@candw.ky. I don't know how many of us, maybe just us, the older folks who like emails. You can WhatsApp though, 925-3261, record a voice note, send it through. Miss Susan will listen to it and play it on air if that's what you choose. You can, however you choose, type it up, text to type, text to speech, and we'll read it for you. But you can also call, which is our preference. It is, after all, Talk Today. It's a show that we want to hear from you directly, in your voice, expressing your views. Now, you may want to call on behalf of somebody else and say, my friend said, her friend said, tell his friend. Well, you tell us and we'll tell somebody else. And together we'll listen. I'll give you two options to call us, 949-8037. You pay for the call, and we'll listen to it. Or Flo, with kind compliments of that toll-free number, picks up the tab, 1-800-534-8255, 1-800-534-8255. The show gives us a chance to not only share our views with others, to perhaps reach an audience that sometimes may be seemingly inaccessible, but it also gives us a chance to introduce ourselves to others, to become acquainted with people who are new to our shores, maybe even new to our airwaves. They're channel surfing and they pop up across it. And that has been a wonderful opportunity. For some of us, we've leveraged that. And as we build bridges, it's been remarkable. But it also reminds us that despite how small the Cayman Islands is, you take all the people and you put in a football stadium, still seats, depending on the stadium, that are empty. And despite the governments, not just this one, but ones prior, and all the discussions to grow the economy and increase the population, we're still a relatively small number of people. But it seems like for many of us, it's overcrowded. Some of us, we go to the beach and we go 1, 2, 3, 5 people. They're so packed, I'm not going there. And yet, there are other people, mostly again, who come from our shores, whether they visit or they've now moved and relocated, and they'll go and they'll see one little spot, maybe a little 2-foot square spot, and they go, ooh, that's a lot of space, because where they're from, well, that's premium. All relative. But I think what's important, and I said that to reflect on the conversation earlier, let's respect and appreciate what we have. And if it's the beach, whether it's our horses or dogs or just us, let's keep it clean. And if we can't make it any better when we leave in which how we found it. So maybe there's some trash, we pick it up. At least we don't make it any worse. If we can't make it better, at least let's not make it any worse. But what if we commit to making it better each and every day for each and every one, and each of us doing our part? Now, that means a couple of things. We've got to be very active and proactive. We've got to be conscious and conscientious. But we also got to be willing to hold those people in authority accountable. As parents, we've got to set the example. Our children, the chores and tasks that we set for them, well, we got to make sure they're clear. We got to make sure we're consistent in guiding them. If it's our politicians or pastors, and with respect, even our police officers, we're all human. And sometimes, something that may seem simple, we're driving, but we don't stop, or we don't use our indicators, or sometimes we don't, use our pleases and thank yous. They're not soft skills. They're absolutely critical, essential for life to exist harmoniously. It doesn't mean that there won't be challenges, trials, and tribulations. It doesn't mean that you don't get frustrated. It doesn't mean sometimes you don't snap and lose your temper. Hopefully, it doesn't happen often. And hopefully when it does, you're able, as a person, to say, you know what, I stepped out of line. And the other person would be understanding. And hopefully whatever transpired isn't irreversible. But I say that to ask, in the interest of our discussion, I have wonderful piece, I think, that was sent to us by one of our avid listeners that we want to share, with you in a second. And we also at some point maybe want to ask you to have, a little think, as they say, about how we go about our society, trying to not just punish and not just, deter, but rehabilitate. So we have, a prison, a system of prison, and we know that we can point to other jurisdictions because they have a lot of statistics and studies that talk about the impact of incarceration. So let's focus on our own small space, this relatively speaking small number of people, but also realize that that one person is perhaps one person too many if they're ill-treated, mistreated, not, given the opportunity. And then equally reflect on the fact that as a people, we ourselves weren't that very long ago. I say it not so much in joke and jest. We were all under house arrest when we were feeling the restrictions that were imposed on us, despite our willingness to abide by the rules and regulations, the requests of our leadership to say, listen, let's do this, let's not do that. But we felt like our freedoms were being infringed. We felt our movements were abridged. We felt, somehow seriously restricted. So now imagine, someone who is incarcerated, whether solitary confinement, which in and of itself, some would say, well, geez, that is inhumane treatment. But perhaps they can move about, but only at certain times. Now, what is the impact socially, psychologically, and otherwise on them, their families, and society? And what is the consequence of that? And what is the cost? The financial and economic cost of building the prison, maintaining, staffing it, and all the things, but also the other costs that we may not be willing to acknowledge or even in our minds be able to quantify. So we have an opportunity to talk about Cayman Thanksgiving, and Mr. Luigi Moxham has found the valet parking. The red carpet was rolled out for him. He's going to roll into the studio. So with respect to Ms. Susan, let's just pause, take a short break, bring Luigi into the studio. But first we send him up to our makeup room, get him all prepped and ready. And I can probably sit on the air too. If he's not bringing turtle meat, cornbread, and some sea pie, we're not going to put him in the studio. But let's see what he brings. Stay tuned for Talk Today.
The Cayman Islands Chamber of Commerce Pension Plan. We're here for you. Are you currently a member and interested in the management of your pension plan? If so, consider becoming a volunteer trustee. Becoming a trustee is a great way to play an integral role in the governance of your pension plan. If you'd like to learn more, email pensions@chamberpension.ky or call 745-7630. The Cayman Islands Chamber of Commerce Pension Plan. We're here for you.
The Tuesday and Thursday edition of The Business Buzz is brought to you by Cayman Medical Supplies, providing quality pharmaceuticals, medical supplies, and consumer products to healthcare providers, retailers, and ultimately the patients at a reasonable rate in a friendly, caring, and timely manner. Cayman Medical Supplies is located at number 93 Smith Road, Windward Center. Telephone 949-6211. Spring into action with your education goals at UCCI in the spring 2021 semester. Start or continue your degree, take a short course, complete professional training, or your technical vocational studies. New students apply through the online application portal by December 4th. Visit ucci.edu.ky/admission. Call 623-8224 or you can email admission@ucci.edu.ky to get started.
The road to becoming a British Overseas Territories citizen just became a lot smoother. You can now apply online at online.odg.gov.ky. If you or someone you know needs to be naturalized or registered as a British Overseas Territories citizen, or if you are a citizen and need to replace your lost or damaged certificate, complete the process at online.odg.gov.ky.
Talk today. But I do have some questions. Talk today.
Cayman Islands' foremost listeners participation program.
Talk today.
Because there are more questions than answers.
What the public is saying.
Waging to take your calls right now. Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
Hey, good afternoon and welcome. Thanks for joining us. I tell you what, man, he's a fine gentleman and we're honored to have him again. I must share, Luigi Moxon, I always enjoy listening to you and the discussion, conversation that you and Miss Kathy had a week back. It's phenomenal, man.
Thank you very much.
You guys have a good energy, and I thought just listening to the banter, to reflecting, and to feeling the emotion, the love, the pride, the passion. It really came through strong.
It's genuine, man. It's genuine.
Yeah, man.
Mm-hmm.
Well, thank you for sharing with us, and it is something about this time of year. I think it's always important for us to be as positive and optimistic, to be as nurturing as we can, but to always, in our thoughts and prayers, to always be willing to give thanks and to be gracious, but also to be grateful,
You're absolutely right. I mean, when there's no better time than as we reflect on this year, to be where we are, no matter what has happened, to be the most thankful.
In all things, give thanks. I know that's probably easier said than done, but
very true.
If we look to our parents and grandparents, they're always gracious, but they're always grateful as well. And the little that they have, they give thanks, and they're willing to share it. Only a piece of, sweet potato from the yard, a little piece of yam, or a stick of cassava.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter. 100 bananas, or it only be one. They will share it.
And you sometimes you just don't know how much that one little bit helps and goes such a long way in someone's gratitude and appreciation, and a kid seeing that and experiencing that and benefiting from that, sticks with them as well. So it is always a step above, just what the eye sees. So.
When we look at the idea of Thanksgiving, and we recognize, even if we were unwilling, we were perhaps deliberately unwilling to look at the historical sort of impetus or how the U.S. Thanksgiving in particular came about, and maybe discard all the other things happening. I say that, find it even difficult to even imagine that would be even possible, but we can now still look at it and say, okay, the trustees are committed to historical record being what it is. The fact that there's still an attempt to, mend fences, to extend some level of bridge, to show some kindness, and we can't ring the bell as it is, but at least we can maybe try to lay a better foundation, extend something more than a token gesture, to invite someone into your home, to sit at a table with someone and break bread. That is, to me, the most intimate and the most well-meaning thing that people can do.
It's as humankind as it gets. It's part of the foundation of how this all came about. Think about all the amazing people that have been in the hospitality industry or just living here, working in this community for generations gone, have always been accommodating and welcoming people to our shores, and people who decide to move here, live here, visit here. We've always had a open door policy, so to speak, in inviting people to embrace our community, our culture, engage with us, and to be open-minded collectively as we're as a global community. But come into there's nothing like breaking bread with people, family or new friends, and something very special and organically, naturally happens in a positive way when we do that. So that's kind of like a big part of why we're really encouraging and focusing on that element of it, because people may have differences, but it's amazing to see people sit down and break bread. How we can at least for the moment.
Well, Luja, as you shared that, I was thinking of a couple of things. It sometimes seems that perhaps it's the same elsewhere, but certainly it's evident here. Maybe because this is where we live and work and interact most often, right? So that frequent interaction, we will see that we will extend a level of kindness and hospitality to the stranger, to the new acquaintance, than we would for in our endeavors with each other, the familiar person, right? And then we look at restaurants that have adopted what's called family-style dining. And then we think back to what it was like in some of our homes. The food was on the stove in the pot, and you served it up. Sometimes the pot was put on the table or somewhere nearby, and you served it from there. Sometimes it was put into a dish and then placed out you did the table and you served from there, and everyone sat around as opposed to coming. So that family style thing is indicative and evident of the necessity to come together and bond. Pass the plate, you go it around, as opposed to it being served to you. Thanksgiving in a sense, because as you take it out, you're realizing the effort that it took to put it there so that you can retrieve it.
Absolutely. I love it. It's something that we enjoy. What we do at Cayman Cabana. People all over the island. Again, think about just our experiences growing up, going over to our friend's house and sharing food that their parents have put together, and how happy that was to be able to sit down with them and their family and break bread. It's just something very special about appreciating someone else's effort and providing food. Sometimes fundamental as food, but if food is as essential as it gets. But it goes more than that. It goes directly to your foundation of being just grateful to be able to eat. I think not everyone has that privilege.
Yeah, and sometimes the notion that you've consciously made a decision as to what you're going to eat. Whether you're serving to your guests, whether you're preparing for your family or yourself, and you've gone and not necessarily hunted it as would have been perhaps the practice way back when, but then you've gone in search of it in the supermarket, that particular ingredient, whether it's the seasoning you're looking for or that one missing piece. But then beyond that too, the idea that in this preparation, I think back to way back when, the families, the Christmas dinner specifically, and there were many of us, we had a role to play, whether it was, getting the coconuts and husking, whether you had to go out in the ground, and wasn't my favorite chore. Our brothers liked it, I didn't like it. But they would get the cassava, they would, dig up the yams and the sweet potatoes. But it was brought back in, you washed it, you peeled it, you chopped it, you prepped it, you helped in some capacity.
Right.
Not really much different now in terms of appreciating what's there. as we're having this conversation, Luigi, I'm told there's a caller joining us.
Okay.
It could be either a couple of things, It could be someone looking to find us, what's going on. Nah, just kidding. Let's go to the phones and find out what it is. Hey, you're speaking to Luigi Moxham, talking about Cayman Thanksgiving. Good afternoon and welcome. Thanks for calling.
Good afternoon, Luigi, and good afternoon, Sterling.
Good afternoon, my good friend, man. How are you today?
I'm pretty good, man. Just giving the Cayman Islands a rare opportunity to listen to Mario and Luigi at this time.
Oh, you see? Thank you. I got my controller now.
And I just want to put in an unsolicited plug and let everybody in the listening distance of Radio Cayman understand that Cayman Cabana has the best food in the entire corridor of downtown, straight all the way to Northwest Point, back to the tip of South Sound. The best food, hands down.
Appreciate that, man.
That's one of the things that I can only tell you that because being a food lover myself and somebody who tries to cook, I think that a lot of times we overlook the quality and taste that goes into the food at Cayman Cabana. And I can tell you, I haven't had one dry run at Cayman Cabana when it comes to food. It's always been above board. God knows. And I'm going to give a big shout out to Erica in that kitchen out there because
That's very true.
Hands down one of the best cooks on this island. But having said all of that, I just want to share in with because the Cayman Thanksgiving thing is a new concept, right? When I say that, it's a fairly new concept. It's not something that we traditionally did.
Right. It's been 9 years. So it is new. Right. It's just this is something that a new tradition that we're trying to really commit to. It's been 9 years now. Yeah.
That long?
And I think, and I believe that Cayman style stew turtle should be the staple. It should be on the logo. It should be embedded in it because from Christopher Columbus straight back to today, turtle has been engraved in our fabric in our society.
100%.
100%, man.
It is the best dish in the entire Caribbean, and I said that because just over the weekend I had an opportunity to cook some for some people from Trinidad, and they expressed to me that they've eaten turtle and cooked turtle all their life growing up in Trinidad, but they've come to the conclusion that nobody cooks it like the people in Cayman cooks it.
True, Dan.
So I said that one of the traditions that I think a lot of Caymanians, that I can only speak for myself, and I know that there are a lot out there that may have similar stories. You see, I was raised by two of my grandmother's sisters, which was older people, and one of the things that you had to do every day was to participate in everything that they were doing when it came to the chores of the house.
Mm-hmm.
And whenever they cooked food, you had to go pick the coconut, you had to huck the coconut, you had to grate the coconut, you had to squeeze the coconut. So you had to you had to do all that stuff. You thought it was a hassle at the time, at least I did. We had to go out and do a lot of the leg work and the hard work, which was almost like a sous chef. But at the time, we thought it was labor.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought it was blackmail for us to go. Because if we didn't participate in the kitchen, we couldn't go to Smith back there.
Right.
So, that was an easy trade-off for me. I would have coconuts hucked and put down even if they didn't need them. But anyway, I said all that to say this is that it was actually training. It was actually teaching me, and I didn't even know that what it was until I became an adult. And then when I would start to venture to cook and do other things, then I realized that, I didn't even need anybody to help me do it because I had already learned how to do it by working in the kitchen with my two granddaughters, who God bless their heart and soul, and I wish that I'd given them. I wish I'd recognized it before and could have given them thanks before they departed. But the reality is Luigi, I only said all of that because the foundation of because we use the word Thanksgiving very loosely and lightly sometimes, and I pray that we don't try to fashion our Thanksgiving after or like other places.
Mm-hmm.
We have our own set of traditions. We have our own set of culture. We have who we are historically, and I think that we can turn the Cayman Thanksgiving into something actually really marvelous because our food is the best in the Caribbean, and that's my opinion, and I'm sticking with it.
Yeah, man. You're chopping that louder, man. I suppose
you're 100% right, Mario, and it's interesting because I've noticed even with, like I said to Dwayne, this is probably the most thankful. This is the most important Thanksgiving, in my opinion, And I was talking to Samuel about it, considering everything that everyone's been through this year. You know, how can we not be thankful to miss 7 hurricanes back to back to back and everything else? Those of us who've been fortunate to survive and be here and are thriving, you know, at least still here in Cayman. But why is it culturally that we aren't reflecting the same energy and effort into, you see every restaurant, everybody, specials, Black Friday, Cyber Monday, American Thanksgiving, everyone's all in, and I'm all about it too. I love it. But why is there not even a
it's a time
10% of that energy going into Cayman Thanksgiving?
It's the timing.
But we're supposed to be thankful all year round. So I don't know if it's the timing. It's, you know, it was founded because the end of hurricane season. This year is a testament to like why it was established then and beginning of lobster season.
I'll challenge you in a second now, but Mario, you still there, man? Let's take it from you.
I'll end with. I'll wrap up and say, Luigi, you made a very, very, very important point, and I think that it should echo through the minds of individuals who are listening, because you're right.
Yeah.
We put a lot of emphasis and we put a lot of effort. We even allocate budgeting and time to participate in things that are not traditional Cayman.
Yeah.
And if we would even get 25% of that same energy and allotment of time and effort into things that is inherently or traditionally or historically Cayman, we would have a much better place. And last but not least, the fact that we could have this conversation, the fact that we're still here, the fact that we have survived the most busiest hurricane season on record.
Right.
The fact that our neighbors, where we have family members in Nicaragua and Honduras, and I pray for those people, the fact that they got hit twice gives us a clear indication that we have an immense amount of things to be thankful for. Every morning we wake up, that we still living in a civilized society, and our kids and our family members are healthy. And we're here. Those are the things that we need to be thankful for, and it's always a pleasure to have a platform like this talking about things that are not the issues that are bothering us. It's not political. And I can tell you right now, in the future, I think that the Cayman Islands, being the leading culinary destination of the Caribbean, we have to identify our brand. We have to make sure that moving forward, when tourism opens back up, that there is a cornerstone of what Cayman cuisine and taste is. I've launched a brand called Cayman Style Everything. God willing, and spare life, I'll have a restaurant open in the next few months. And you're not getting any fries or burgers or chicken fenders and none of those things there. If you're not ready to eat Cayman cuisine, don't come there, because that's all going to be up on the menu. So I think that it's high time, Luigi. You've been doing a fantastic job with food at Cayman Cabana, contrary to what anybody may want to believe, for a very long time. And it's time that we start to recognize that there is a Caymanian on the waterfront selling the best food on the waterfront. And I don't know why there's not lines around the corner, because the food is fabulous and it's a Caymanian-owned establishment. We need to start investing back in our own people. But great show. Cayman Thanksgiving.
Appreciate that, man. Thank you so much,
my brother. Luigi. Always blessings.
Thank you. And just so you know, when I leave here, I am going to get that turtle to cook up this weekend. And you're the only person I checking for. You have no idea. Mario cooked the best turtle. Because Dwayne already promised him some. So for sure.
Susan made sure. Mario, thank you very much, man.
Make sure you order enough jalapeno. Not just the lean.
I got you.
Get a jalapeno.
All right.
Thank you, my brother.
Thanks, man. So you wait here, get a jalapeno.
I tell you.
All right, we're going to pause so Luigi can make the phone call.
Yep.
Call Mr. McLaren, make sure he got it all set up. And then we got some calls online, as Miss Susan shares. Okay. Respectfully, stay on the line. We'll catch you right after this. Stay tuned.
Thank you.
2020 has been a year of challenges and changes. However, your friends at Miracle Brokers has remained steadfast and committed to being your neighborhood and worldwide movers and freight forwarders. In this season of peace, goodwill, and caring, the management and staff of Miracle Brokers takes this opportunity to wish you, their valued customers and friends, a Merry Christmas and a holiday season full of love, family memories to treasure, and loads of happiness. They thank you for your continued patronage and look forward to a brighter and more successful new year for everyone. Remember, for all your moving needs on Ireland and around the world, Miracle Brokers can make it happen for you. They're located at the end of Kingbird Road, just past CUC. Miracle Brokers, the art of packing and moving. 949-5989. Season's greetings, everyone, from Miracle Brokers.
The New Self-Help Community Foundation presents the 19th Annual Talent Exposition of the Arts with their first ever virtual concert. Get your tickets now at eventpro.ky. Streaming live on December 13th. You don't want to miss this. With performances by Erica Asai, Caitlin Tyson, Miss Universe 2018, Rico Rolando, Terry Williams, UCCI dancers, Lloyd Barker, Rita Estevanovich, Dream Chasers K-Man, Mariah Padwa, Shantae Ramoon, Duncan Anderson, K-Man Music School, Soraya Anglin, Centerpoint Dance Company, Richie T, JC Patrick, Miss World K-Man, and more. The Talent Exposition of the Arts, first ever virtual concert, broadcasting live December 13th. Get your tickets today at eventpro.ky.
Friday, December the 4th at 12:15 p.m. RCI Retro Talk Today's focus will be on a prominent Cayman Islands personality's life's journey. And interesting it is.
I'm a Maryland boy. I was born down in Maryland, and I followed the adults everywhere they went. My grandfathers and all of those men, Captain Rail Borden and the Archies, I was there carrying their lunches, and I heard their stories, and that's when I became interested in the political and the historical narrative of the island.
That's Friday at 12:15 p.m. on Radio Cayman. CI Retro Talk Today.
Radio Cayman News. 2 travelers found in breach of quarantine at residence protocols were prosecuted this week.
Following a court appearance via Zoom on Monday, they were fined $1,000 each.
There are an additional 3 cases associated to breaches of quarantine at residence protocols, which are under investigation.
Police are investigating another alleged breach by a traveler in the quarantine at residence program.
Radio Cayman, your voice, your choice for today's biggest news.
Water Authority Cayman wishes to advise its valued customers that its offices will close early on Friday the 4th of December for a staff function. The authority's Grand Cayman office will close at 11 o'clock a.m. and the Cayman Brac office will close at 12 o'clock p.m. There will be no trucked water deliveries in Cayman Brac on Friday afternoon, the 4th of December, after the office closure. Any trucked water orders received before the office closure that are not delivered on Friday will be carried over to Saturday the 5th of December or Monday the 7th of December. Customers in Cayman Brac are encouraged to plan ahead. The Water Authority appreciates the patience and understanding of its customers and the public and apologizes for any inconvenience this may cause.
Talk today. But I do have some questions. Talk today.
Cayman Islands' foremost listeners participation program.
Talk today.
Because there are more questions than answers.
What the public is saying.
Waiting to take your calls right now. Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
Hey, good afternoon and welcome back. Very glad to have the excellent company of Luigi Moxo. And, he's put me, Luigi and his 50 million followers. All right, well, Susan has me on a YouTube thing.
Yeah.
And then you got me on this other thing.
Yeah.
I should get my agent charge you off for that.
No problem.
Well, we're talking about Cayman Thanksgiving, but we
Yes.
do have a caller online, right, Miss
Yeah.
Susan? Okay. Luigi didn't bring a custard cornbread. Let's see if
No,
this
we
caller
make
has
it
it.
happen.
Hey, good afternoon.
Good
Thank you for sharing
afternoon.
with us. Welcome.
Hello, good afternoon.
How are you today?
Fine, thanks for you guys.
Good, man.
Great, thank you.
You might get a custard cornbread, but we can get corn turtle, right?
Oh, boy, we gotta get some corn turtle for Christmas, boy.
Oh, a lot, yeah.
Yeah, man, going to say that.
We'll give all the thanks and praises to God for making us live to see the
Amen.
past for the season.
Yes,
With all the hazards that we had from our way, we still gonna thank God for everything.
absolutely.
But Louisa, I'm glad that you're here and talking about Cayman food because my mother is 80 years old. So thank God bless her heart.
Amen.
She's still alive. She's still up and going.
Thank God.
And Miss Charlene gets the best joke out of us because she said, when she said she cannot stand to hear people calling Cayman food and cooking it the wrong way.
Yeah, calling Cayman food and not cooking. Yeah,
Very, very upset.
yeah.
And then Charlene calls her kitchen the 1960 kitchen because if she's going to cook, that's my mom's kitchen. If she's going to cook turtle meat,
Yeah.
if she'll cook conchs.
Yeah.
If she got 12 conchs to cook, she'll have 19 coconuts. She say it's not good you get no water down coconut conch dinner because that takes away from Cayman style.
Yeah.
People coming here, especially, coming and saying that they're cooking Cayman style and they do not even taste like Cayman food.
I never understood. It's always bothered me, why people call certain things Cayman style, and it's like just, tomato sauce, drown in tomato sauce kind of thing. Like even the lobster, the fish, I'm like, not really. But yeah, I love how passionate people are about their food and their cooking and sharing, recipes that have been shared for generations. Like I understand why your mom would call it the 1960 kitchen, because I guarantee it tastes like how she made it in 1960.
But that's what she said.
All good, huh?
And she still cooks it that way. She says she's not going to make it come out of her kitchen unless it tastes like what the Caymanians would cook before. So what they cooking now is Cayman style.
Mm-hmm.
It's far away from Cayman style food.
What's her favorite Cayman style thing to cook?
Stew conch.
All right. I would love some.
And corn turtle.
I would love some corn turtle.
That mainly comes out of West Bay the best.
Well, we know that. We know that. Some people in the East might argue, but I agree. I head in the West after this. We get some turtle. So we cook out this weekend.
I got mine ordered to get mine corn up because it takes about 2 weeks to corn.
Yeah, I get that.
Now ready for Christmas.
Yeah, I definitely got that. I love that, some corn turtle.
Yeah, man. All right.
Thank you so much.
Thanks, son.
Thank you so much.
I appreciate it. And as the caller reminds us, and I'm hopeful, prayerful that the people listening, the Caymanians that are young, so with the grandchildren, the great-grandchildren, who are sadly unfamiliar with our foods.
Yeah.
Some we feel intimidated by it because of the involved process we saw our parents and grandparents go through.
Mm-hmm.
And then the others who may be visiting, maybe have been here for a long time. When we talk about the authenticity of our food, it's so that we can share, so you can taste it. It's nothing like traveling somewhere and not only having the willingness, but being able to share in the food of that place and enjoy it. It may be considered delicacy to others. It may seem strange to you. Now, you don't have to go against your religious, our personal beliefs and the like. But if it's on offer and you can safely consume it, it's worth trying. Now, for our food and for us, the idea, and if he doesn't mind me sharing, Ray Banker, for instance, the whole notion of corn turtle, when we referenced that years ago on the See What I Was Saying segment, that was the first time that many people actually heard corn turtle. What is that? And it was so refreshing to hear our parents, grandparents, the elderly folk saying, that had almost passed into oblivion. It had become only a few people. Because of, as the caller said, that's not something that you just throw together.
Yeah.
Not turtle itself. I want you to respond, but asking Susan, she's telling me to take a call.
Okay.
That what she said? Yeah, let's go to the phone, man.
All
she said, you two guys are handsome, but don't talk too much.
We got a perfect face for radio.
That much you heard her say that too? All right, hey, good afternoon and welcome. Thanks for calling.
Yes, good afternoon, Dean.
How are you, my friend? How are you today?
Blessed and highly.
Good afternoon.
Yeah, man, brother. Yeah, man.
I want to touch a little bit on the cooking business.
Yeah, man.
I heard one West Bay lady call in and say West Bay the best.
Well, isn't
you
that...
know this will come in.
but isn't that like accepted and that's it, right?
No, they have a star too that East End is the best, but it's not everything that come out of East End. No disrespect to them, but you also got it in the GT too,
Yeah.
You got it in the GT too.
That's very true.
True, man. True.
Only because some of the people in the GT keep it quiet.
Oh, that way it is, huh?
I sick and tired of hearing it now, so I got to retaliate back.
There you go.
I knew that would come in after he said that, because everybody got claimed, and I love that about the Heritage Days when you go, and that's why it was important for those Heritage Days and so special, because everybody would go and find out who's saying what in each district, from each district.
Yeah, man.
And representing. I missed that, man. We got to bring that back.
So you coming strong.
So you claiming GT holding it down the best for what in particular? Beef, turtle, conch, or what?
Anything you call it.
No, we can't do it. We can't say that. Everybody got, something. Where you putting your flag? On the conch, the turtle, the beef, what? Or what?
Anyone you call.
Okay.
Anyone you call.
Okay.
They just got he tweeted it out.
He got all kinds of flags, yeah. Waving them all. I hear that.
But all is
I don't
good,
blame it. I don't blame it for that stuff because everybody has good food.
I just call them, that.
Don't worry, and just for that, so I mean, because the first one I got to see is probably Lee Ramone, right? So I got to go across to him and hold him down still, you know, just because.
He wanted them to tell you about the people in Georgetown.
Yeah, I know.
But you know what I'm going to do, Dwayne? in January, we're going to have a district cook-off. And we're going to get everybody from each district to come and do certain dishes. And that's what we're going to do. We're going to have like a...
I'll be the volunteer taster.
Yes. You can't, nobody. You and Susan, for sure.
I just say thanks, man.
Thank
all
you.
right?
All right, thank you.
Blessings to you, man. You know, but that's the beautiful part, right? Just like that, the camaraderie. But
somebody from Cameron don't call though. Watch.
No, we blocked the lines for Cameron. They can't call me. Susan says she don't hear enough from the family. No, she didn't say that. But this is an opportune time for us, and I see it as a preview for what Christmas is like, right? And I always reflect on, maybe because it was my early sort of days in working. Maybe it was the sector in which I was, right? But from a couple of days before Christmas to a couple of days after the New Year, the offices, including the banks, including the insurance companies, the law firms, tended to have, I guess what they call a skeleton staff.
Right.
And so we'll go in there, rotate, the sort of, shared work.
Right.
And everybody had an extended holiday of sorts.
Yeah, time.
Right? And the eating, the camaraderie, the fellowship, the celebration. I mean, over those 2 weeks or so, man, we put a lot of food away.
Yeah, but the thing about you the idea was going to eat with people.
With people,
and that's what it's about. The food and fellowship. It will resolve wars. I promise. It's the best.
Yeah, man. It does two things. Let me not say. It will embrace.
Yeah.
All right. So I see the time. This is an opportunity. Give us a quick preview of where, when. If I can ask you, if you don't mind, I know you're very modest, but Cayman Cabana itself, I mean, you guys got anything going on in particular?
Yes. Shout out to everybody who is doing anything and everything this weekend to celebrate and embrace Cayman Thanksgiving. Please follow us on Cayman Thanksgiving on Instagram and Cayman Thanksgiving on Facebook, and share what it is that you got going on, or what you like to share recipes, or just what events, or just whatever is going on that you want to celebrate and share, and how you want to give thanks. Even if it's just a little story saying what you're thankful for. But at Cayman Cabana all weekend, we will be having some live music on Saturday night with Vibe Tribe, and we will be having a special Thanksgiving menu all weekend long. You can get it just a la carte off our menu, or we're doing a 3-course special menu, and we also doing a brunch on Saturday and Sunday, which is all of my bread come from Cayman Brack. Most of the stuff that is sourced from Mr. Patton, Mr. Clarence, Mr. Hamlin. So it's all about going to the market and exploring what Cayman has to offer. The supermarkets as well have been huge coming aboard and being purchased from the farmers. So go to the supermarket, go to the market, and invite people to your home, or go to a participating restaurant and explore what is possible traditionally or otherwise with local ingredients and local food. And it's a celebration of that, and giving thanks for the end of hurricane season, giving thanks for our harvest and from the ocean and from the land, and just breaking bread with people in food and fellowship. So we're going to do our part at Cayman Cabana this weekend and every day to represent the culture and invite people to share what is truly Cayman kind in regards to from a hospitality standpoint, and breaking bread together. So we have a fantastic menu available all weekend long, available for delivery as well, family style. So you can contact us at CaymanCabanaRestaurant.com, and we will be happy to deliver a full farm to table, locally inspired family style dinner, lunch to you.
All right,
as well. So if I got to catch a flight to the Brack, I'm bringing it. Whatever it is, it's all about representing the culture and the heritage through food here in Cayman.
All right.
I just wanted to tell you guys a little bit more about just about one thing real quick about Cayman Thanksgiving, right? So just remember, it's a celebration born of the love for our culture and our heritage. And this year is the most important because of everything we've been through. Cayman Thanksgiving is not about events or concerts. It is just a way for us to reflect on what the most important thing and reasons to be thankful for. We aren't just alive; we are thriving in a community that is blessed by God's mercy and grace. But given that we are alive and thriving, we have to be thankful.
Yeah, man.
You know, and every person should make an effort to give thanks this weekend. Again, it might be busy, but just take a second and pause and reflect and give thanks. You know, that's just really what it comes down to.
Give thanks, man. The spirit of giving and thanksgiving, to be grateful and gracious, and you know, use as an opportunity to reach across the fence to your neighbor.
Yeah.
Across the hall to
just
your
sometimes
co-worker.
we just got pause. There's a lot going on. Everybody got a lot going on, and it's crazy. But it bothers me that we go so hard in trying to celebrate and represent American Thanksgiving, Cayman Thanksgiving. I do it too. It's all about that. But how all of a sudden we like see Cayman Thanksgiving like, oh, it's not really a thing. Like, we don't have nothing to do with these other Thanksgivings, but we like go all in. This is our tradition that we're trying to build for our next. It's not even about us. It's about the next generation growing up and understanding what corn turtle is and where it come from, and cassava, and the people not from here understanding and embracing our culture.
Yeah, man.
We can't be we can't be complaining about our culture dying and people not representing our culture, and we losing our heritage. And we, the same people, not taking advantage of the opportunities to share and represent that ourselves. You can't talk about it without being about it and expect the culture to live and carry on if you're not going to do it yourself.
Luigi, I hope that, you know, as we...
I'm sorry, I'm passionate about it.
No, man, so am I, you know.
It's true.
We have to share and we have to invite. But thank you very much.
Thank you very much for your time as well.
All right.
Shout out to Samuel, Faith, and everybody, and Casey, everybody, came my Thanksgiving crew. Thank you so much.
Man, there you go.
Absolutely.
All right. Let's pause, take a break. When we come back, a chance to talk about the Environmental Impact Task Force. Wow. Stay tuned for Talk Today.
Today's biggest news.
Radio Cayman.
It's only 2 species that we have, you know, on the island.
Your voice, your choice.
It is in the best interest of the people of these islands.
Local, regional, international. This is Headlines from Radio Cayman's newsroom.
Today's biggest news.
With your latest headlines, I'm Felicia Rankin-Solins. As of yesterday, 3 inbound travelers test positive for COVID-19. All 3 are asymptomatic. Government says 985 people are in isolation currently. The islands have 29 active COVID-19 cases. 25 are asymptomatic, 4 are symptomatic. In international news, the UK has become the first country in the world to approve the Pfizer-BioNTech coronavirus vaccine, paving the way for mass vaccination. Britain's medicines regulator, the MHRA, says the jab, which offers up to 95% protection against COVID-19 illness, is safe to be rolled out. The winning numbers in South Africa's national lottery have caused a stir and sparked accusations of fraud over their unusual sequence. Tuesday's Powerball lottery saw the numbers 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9 drawn, while the Powerball itself was the number 10. The rapper Drake has released a line of scented candles, one of which, quote, actually smells like Drake. The $80 candle, called Carby Musk, features notes of musk, ambers, cashmere, suede, and velvet. It's his personal fragrance. These are your headlines. I'm Felicia Rankin-Solins.
For the latest in news and information,
follow Radio Cayman on social media, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. Download the Radio Cayman app or log on to our website, radiocayman.gov.ky.
Your voice, your choice, your radio.
Maintaining a strong mind and body through sports and general healthy living is a good course of action. But what about your spiritual man, your inner man? He has to be awakened, fed, exercised, strengthened, and led according to the will of God. So, have you heard the call? I'm evangelist Brother Joseph Joey Ebanks, and I'm inviting you to worship Wednesday and Thursday nights at 7:30. We are bringing the Word of God to our communities as Jesus commanded. Faith comes by hearing, so come and hear. Bring your own chair or simply park and listen to the Word of God from your vehicle, covering the Cayman Islands with the Word of God, one community at a time.
Fidelity Bank would like to thank all essential workers. We salute your efforts and thank you for the sacrifices you've made to keep us all safe. During these challenging times we're facing, our top priority is the health and safety of the communities we serve. And while it's true that things are changing rapidly every day, one thing that will never change is our commitment to giving you the best in sound financial solutions to help you during and after the coronavirus pandemic. At Fidelity Bank, our focus will always be you. Fidelity, we're good for you.
Your Radio Cayman 7 a.m. news, brought to you by Cayman National, proudly serving the Cayman Islands since 1974. Visit www.caymannational.com for up-to-date information for all your financial needs and follow us on social media.
Support local and get into the holiday spirit with Experience Cayman Live. Join us on Saturday, December 5 from 4 p.m. on Cardinal Avenue for live music, delicious food, and artisan vendors. Shop local, support local. Brought to you by the Ministry of Commerce, Planning and Infrastructure, Georgetown Revitalization, and Cayman Islands Center for Business Development. Shop local, support local with Experience Cayman Live. Visit Experience Cayman's Facebook for more info.
Talk today. But I do have some questions. Talk today.
Cayman Islands' foremost listeners participation program.
Talk today.
Because there are more questions than answers.
What the public is saying.
Waiting to take your calls right now. Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
Hey, good afternoon and welcome back. Thanks for joining us. And I think one of the great things in life is the opportunity to sit and learn. And as Coach Wood used to say, come let us reason. Always honored that I can be in the company of people who are willing to impart their knowledge, their experience, and expertise, and together, we can learn some more. So, the director of the Department of Environmental Health, Mr. Richard Sims, if he doesn't mind me saying, a gentleman that we all know, whether from the policing days, whether he's, studious, sort of forays into the law school days. I commend you, man. I admire you like many civil servants, balancing family work, consistently studying, and just excelling, making us realize that if we sacrifice, we will eventually see the success. So, thank you very much, man.
Yeah, thank you for having me doing. Appreciate those kind sentiments. They say learning is a long life event, so you got to keep sharpening the tools.
There you go too. And before we ask Ms. Winsome, sort of. Because we should probably get her to do a formal introduction of herself, but so our news can have a little clip. But something else, again, with personal apology to you, you exhibit like so many of the civil servants that I am honored to say, I work within the public service. And here's the example. Whether it's coming in work early, whether it's staying next day a little late, or whether you're coming in on your day off or vacation, many people don't realize that that's what a civil servant does. Yeah. Without being asked, without being compensated, you're always there. And again, here you are, man. So thanks, huh?
Yes, no problem. I try to be the example that, we want our civil servants, fellow civil servants to do. So,
yeah, man.
We do have some great civil servants, as you know, who are examples themselves. So I'm just one of them.
Thank you for being one of them, man. And this is where we can champion. No, Ms. Prendergast, I think, with that in mind. And normally, as Mr. Sims would say, we always elevate our leaders. We always try to be there as champions. And so having you in our midst allows us to even come closer to see that exemplary character. For our listeners, would you be not too bashful to share? This has been some Prendergast. Give a little brief intro and bio, because everybody knows Richard, right? So.
Okay, well, I think everybody should know me. After spending almost 22 years with the police, and
like 2.5?
Yeah, about that. As a traffic cop, Richard and I also worked in West Bay when he was area commander, and he picked me to be on his team. So, that says a lot.
Special request, apparently.
Yes, special request. I was at Financial Crimes at the time, and he said he wanted me on his team. He could tell you the reason why he chose me. I don't know, but I know
I'm always trying to be, surround myself with good people, hardworking, and dedicated people. So she so far to be one of those. So.
Yeah, man. And that is, I think, I'm glad you referenced the stint, if I can put it that way, in West Bay. Short term, as I forgive me, sir, to you, to the political as well as the police leadership. Area commander is not a term that sounds too combatant. Sounds like urban commandos. Back in the day, the police officer walked the street and everybody knew everybody. It has changed, right? Now we see them in armed gear and guns and with this malice almost confrontational, as opposed to when you guys were there. The meetings that you would drive all the way from Upper Chakiata, stay in the town hall with us in the evenings, discussing with the community simple things hey, this parking isn't working here, this light is out. It was such a wonderful success and a demonstration of partnership. And I think as I look at that, transfer to the notion that we have, again, it's called a task force, but the environmental impact. As you share with us what it is, why it is, how it come about, what it means, it tells me there's an opportunity for more community ownership, more community participation. And again, if I have the perception wrong in my mind, up for the community to take a leading role in bringing about the necessary effective changes that we want. Our personal habits in terms of buying and how we dispose of things, but also how we use and reuse and perhaps sometimes, refuse to use. But just a thought, right, Ms. Winston?
Yes. Yeah. So I'm honored, I should say, that I've now left the police service and I'm now with the public lands, the chief inspector of public lands. And I was also inducted to work alongside with Richard and other stakeholders within government on the Environmental Action Task Force. As I said, it's an honor, and I'm delighted to be here. Not that I don't love policing. Policing is let me make this be clear. That's my passion. But at some time in your end, you have, you say you're born and then you die, or, everything have an end, come to an end. So at least, I'm still serving the public, which is great. Right. I do enjoy working for the public and giving my contribution. So I'm happy where I'm at.
Okay. So Mr. Sims, maybe again we'll defer to you, guide us in our discussion. But maybe we could first ask, what is this task force? How did it come about? Why do we have it? What it's going to do? Spend the next hour-ish talking about stuff. Would that be fine?
Sure. Yes. First, the task force came about as a result of it's an initiative from the deputy governor, actually. Having received quite a few complaints about things that was happening in the community,
right?
And raised concerns to him. But he then said, "Listen, let's get a task force together," and that came about with Mr. Winston. He then chaired the meetings with us, and it's the task forces encompasses the Department of Environmental Health, Lands, Planning, DCI. Did I say planning? Yes.
Yeah, planning.
Yeah, and DCI. So the thing is, what you find, Sterling, is oftentimes we get called into a neighborhood. There are issues that are happening. For example, it all started out where, we were getting complaints of unlawful garages in neighborhoods.
Constantly, we hear that all the time.
Right.
Good example.
So you said, okay, then let's get the Department of Environmental Health in there, right, to deal with the environmental issues in terms of derelict vehicles and so on. So what would you find would happen is that with our department, my team would go in, and we deal with the environmental health issues. But then they still continue to work on these cars, and then the issue keep going. But then we say, okay, hold a minute. The Department of Environmental Health is in there. We did what we had to do, but there's still other issues still there. So what this task force does now, we'll go in there together now. So where there are issues that cannot be dealt with by the Department of Environmental Health, because, for example, now the garage is going on, but are they licensed? So who deals with licensing? Department of Investment and Commerce, DCI. So you say, okay, then they will then deal with that aspect of it. Then you say, okay, then, well, what are they using the land to do? They're working on cars here. So then it becomes a planning issue. So you say, okay, then planning officer, let's look at the use of lands issue aspect. So we take a holistic approach now to deal with that one problem. Instead of my department alone goes and deal with what we're supposed to do in terms of what the law allows us to do, because we're operating under the public health law and the litter law. So, our actions are only geared within those laws.
Right.
So here, if we go in there as a team, a task force, then we know that we're coming in and we're going to deal with the whole problems, from the use of lands, from the licensing issues, and the environmental health issues.
Right. And as I listen to you too, I'm recognizing that if we have this, as you say, holistic joint approach across not just the different agencies, but the community, again, we could potentially avoid what potentially may be something where neighbors, for instance, get in a squabble and then get heated, then the police get called, and then you have all these other, regrettable things transpiring that could come as a result.
Absolutely. Because you see, as you mentioned, community policing earlier, right? Yeah. That's sort of the approach we want to take in terms of everybody understanding their responsibility within their neighborhoods, right? Because just as how when you look at community policing, is the police is a part of the community, and the community is part of the police, right?
All one and the same.
All one and the same. So here's what we want to achieve: the community understand their responsibilities and our roles as well. So you see these illegal garages and cars, derelict vehicles all over the place reported, yes, and even in some cases, talk to your neighbor.
Yeah,
it's simple as listen, hey neighbor, what do you plan? What your plans are with these vehicles? I notice it's there. Why don't you go and deregister it and dispose of it properly? Because you already paid the environmental fees, already been paid up front for the Department of Environmental Health to dispose of it. The only issue, as it relates to getting it to the landfill, you have to pay for it now. You can either do it yourself, you can take it to the landfill yourself. Yeah, if you have somebody who can tow it, you can get a tow truck for them to do it. As long as you deregister it, you take it to the landfill. If not, you say, okay, then Department of Environmental Health, we charge you $75 to come and get it.
Yeah.
And that's what I want people to understand. The difference is the environmental fee that you pay at customs. That's for the disposal of it. It's paid up front, right? But the only thing that you're going to pay for is if you cannot transport it yourself, then you pay us $75. We come out, we get it, and dispose of it.
I think sometimes too, I recognize that for many of us, we either tight with our money, but for many, it's also a case that it's challenging to find $7, much less 75, much less 700, right? Granted, but it's a safety issue, not just for your neighbors, but for you as well. Your children and grandchildren play in the yard, they slip and fall. Maybe the rodents that will be harbored, the chickens, the iguanas, and over time. But what if there's inclement weather and something from this vehicle, topples over? So there are other consequences. This joint approach helps us. Yeah. So with the task force then, I see the impetus. Sounds like it's quite justified, a coordinated effort. Two things immediately. The public has an issue. Can we stick with the illegal garages only because that is probably the one call that I know for the talk show we hear constantly. Yeah. Not just the guy who is helping friends constantly on the weekend, but the guy, male and female, who's in the yard constantly running a business, sanding, painting, not just fixing the cars and digging out dents, but full body work, painting outside and no proper ventilation and overspray. Who did they call? Can't call Ghostbusters, so who did they call?
Well, the thing is, they can call us, the Department of Environmental Health first, if they choose, because then we know who to call as well. We know the other players within the task force. Even if they call the planning department, fine, because, we got to make sure that... remember, doing every parcel of lot around this island is zoned.
Right.
Some zone residential, commercial, right, industrial. So it depends on what it. So if you know that you're living in a residential area and you see that kind of business going on, well, it's not zoned for that. So you have to notify somebody. It's either the planning department, Department of Environmental Health, DCI, and if it's Crown land, well, Ms. Winsome and her team will have to get involved because she looks after Crown land.
Right.
People just can't see, and it baffles me sometimes how people can actually see a piece of empty lot. You don't own it. It doesn't belong to you or anybody within your family. And all of a sudden you're going to start storing cars on it. You're going to open a garage on it. What are you thinking? And we want people to understand that, these are the sort of responsibilities that we have as a community to ensure that we know what our rights are. We know how we can go about getting things done and do it properly. These departments are here to help. They for example, you want a business license, you can apply to DCI. There's a process. You can get one.
And usually they're cheaper, even free sometimes.
Absolutely, right. Yeah. And then you want to do business on your property. Well, the planning rules. All you have to do is make an application to planning for permission to do whatever you're trying to do, right? So, and as long as you obtain the necessary permissions, and you put all the safety provisions in place, you're good to go.
All right. We're talking about the Environmental Impact Task Force, and we have Ms. Vincent Prendergrass together with the Director of Environmental Health, Mr. Right, Department of Environmental Health. Yeah, Mr. Richard Sims. Sorry, sometimes Ms. Susan can talk to me in the air and I can hear, but all of a sudden I got trouble. Thank you, Ms. Susan. We had two quick comments sent to us on WhatsApp. I don't think I read it that fast that I missed it. The first one is asking, going back to the garages, the hobbyists, they use a different word, but that translates better to me. So the hobbyists, the motor enthusiast, on the weekends working on her car. She's in her garage, her yard, tinkling and doing stuff. Yeah. Is that potentially covered in this area? I can see some issues, but I don't want to get into this. So
you have to be careful of that, right?
Yeah.
Because when you start to say, okay, it's okay to do certain things, but when you start to know having the negative impact, in your community,
the public nuisance aspect,
a nuisance.
Okay.
And the minute you start, enter into the nuisance aspect of things, then it's a problem.
Okay, so you're good with the car, and I come over and we wrenching the car together in the garage. Might be okay once it's not noxious fumes and getting loud and abusive in the neighborhood and so on, potentially.
Right.
Okay. The second question asks separate person messages. Hopefully again I read it quickly but accurately. They said police, but I won't even go further than that with deference to the message. Any of the agencies in the task force, including the police, and then I would like to extend us as the public. You mentioned public lands, so I'll include that, public roadways as well. If we see that sort of thing, again, the agencies and the police in particular, any responsibility, is there anything that's incumbent, obligatory on those agencies, the employees, and the police that, hey, wait a minute, this is a public land, public roadway, this car has been here, because we drive the roads and sometimes we can see the person had a flat and the tires off and it's there for a couple hours, but sadly sometimes it looks like it's there for a day and forever. So any responsibility, any obligations on the part of the police and or these agencies to say, let's deal with this thing because this potentially is a public nuisance.
Okay. The two laws that addresses abandoned vehicles, the traffic law, which falls under the police in terms of enforcement, and the public health, the litter law, right, that deals with abandoned vehicles.
So the traffic law and the litter law.
The litter law. So we, the Department of Environment and Health, operate under the litter law, right, as it relates to abandoned vehicle. Let me explain the difference, and in terms of authority over each, right. The Department of Environment and Health, if you have an abandoned vehicle, right, that's in a public place, right, and it's missing windscreen, tires, all these different obvious signs of being a derelict, right? And in addition to all of those signs, Sterling, it must be expired in excess of 6 months. It's registration.
6 months. Okay.
So you can see all of that, but if it doesn't is not been expired more than 6 months, then we can't act on it, right? But let's say it meets all those criteria, then my staff will go out. We'll sticker the vehicle, give it 24 hours notice to the owner to have it removed, right? If they remove it, good. If they don't, then we'll come and take it away and dispose of it, right? Now, under the traffic law now, where a vehicle has been abandoned, parked in an unlawful or unsafe manner, obstructing traffic, likely to cause danger in any way. This is where now the police can say, okay, here what happened. It doesn't meet all the requirements for environmental health, but it's causing an obstruction and so on. And they see all the necessary ingredients in order for them to act. Then they can act, right? They can ticket the vehicle. They can tow it to a pound if they choose.
Okay.
Right? So yes, they have the authority under the traffic law, and in any case, police officer can act under any law.
Yeah,
right?
yeah, but that is the thing. So again, without, and I guess in a sense, I don't want to belabor it, and I certainly do not want us to throw responsibility. I think it's for us as individuals to accept responsibility.
Absolutely.
But too many times we think, well, that's the police. So for instance, let's take the bypasses, and for some of us, we drive often. We're taking our children to and fro. We go into work and we see a vehicle like a couple of weeks back in one of the roundabouts off to the side. A vehicle was there. It was there for days on end. I would imagine the little that I drive, I must have seen it a number of times. others, including police officers and other people, saw it. But it wasn't attended to. So is that because we as a community see that and we're blind to the obvious, and we just say, well, somebody will get to that at some point. That's just there for whatever. Yeah. How do we change? Is that, first off, I should say, wait a minute, is that just the mentality that we have? And how do we change that so that it doesn't become unsafe and unsightly, but unsafe in particular?
You see, the thing is, we have to start take responsibilities and for our own communities, right? So you see something, you say something.
Yeah.
And you know, because you might be, you know, what often happens in a way that we could probably stay there for such a long time is that somebody saying, I wonder if somebody called already.
Yeah.
And then everybody keeps saying, I wonder if somebody called. And nobody calls. And then they go till it gets to the point where somebody get angry for seeing it for so long. And then they say, oh, you know, this vehicle has been here for months. But nobody called.
Okay. I'm glad you referenced that, because I think this is a good example. On I call it Old Bush Road, so that Town Hall Road. There was a vehicle there, and thankfully, you know, we got great neighbors and great people in the community. And someone called a talk show one day and said, you know, I saw this, just like you said, I saw this vehicle here forever, but, you know, that was just there forever. And gradually, you know, a tire goes missing, and a windscreen, and then this and that is being picked to pieces, right? And wondering what happened. Well, somebody, whether it's DEH, whether it's the police, there was a response, and the next day the person called and said, wow, the vehicle's been moved. Just to your point, we see it and we think, well, oh yeah, somebody else did that. Now, making the call has to perhaps rest on us as taking individual responsibility. We have to have the courage. But then there are two things. We got to know to whom to call, place that call to, and two, the person or entity receiving the call got to be receptive too. Got to make you feel like, oh, thank you for doing your public service. Now, like, boy, you and you something, you calling me again. Because there are some of us that will call for and we'll be labeled as nitpicking. Again, a cultural ethos that we need to address, or how do we get there?
Yeah, but I could say when you call the Department of Environment, you shouldn't get that kind of response. You should be, you know, we're there to help the community.
Yeah, man.
You know. Because we live in the community too, you know. I mean, you know, so we want to make sure that it's healthy and safe for all of us, you know. So we got to protect our environment, and I just want people to have a sense of responsibility and duty, and don't just rely on the department alone, but remember, think of what you can do for your community, how to enhance it, how to make it safe, how to make it, you know, environmentally friendly. By, you know, reporting these things to us, and we'll deal with it. And trust me, it's our duty. We're not there to get sick and tired of people calling.
Yeah, I guess many of us have misinterpreted John F. Kennedy's words. You know, ask not what, you know, you can do for your country, but what your country can do for you. I think we've misinterpreted that, right? Miss Winston?
Yeah, I think with the environmental action task force that we have, it doesn't matter which department you call, as it relates to, you know, something that affects you, like derelict vehicles or people operating. Somebody said the other day, mango. You see that one, Richard? Mango tree garage or something like that. No, mango tree or mango mechanic or mango tree mechanic. I think that was a good one. 2 M's, mango tree mechanic. So if something is going on in your department, you don't know, you're not sure who to call, you call any one of the department that are involved with this environmental action task force, to include the police. Because I've seen where the police called to say someone was sleeping in the car in the vehicle on the highway, and they called me. I mean, what I did, I went and checked out, and then I passed it on to the relevant department. So we have a meeting every 2 weeks on a Wednesday, when everyone come to the table and bring whatever we have or whatever is the issue that comes to their attention within the respective communities, and then from there we trash it out. But we do not wait. We pass it on to who we need to go to, because we meet every 2 weeks and we know who's doing what and where to go to. So we want the public to be receptive to say, you remember 949-4222, or that is for Georgetown Police Station, or 949-3999 West Bay Police Station. Those are easy numbers to remember. And DOE number, you can look up on the internet. You find any one of the public lands law. For matters that affects public lands, which falls under my department, my number is 916 0729. You can call at any time during night, send a WhatsApp message or anything to say, what is going on public lands, because, we can't be everywhere.
Okay.
So, go ahead and make the call, as what Richard said. Doesn't matter if somebody called before. Once you see call, we could get 100 calls. It doesn't really matter. We'll deal with it.
All right. Well, maybe what we'll do, your next meeting on a Wednesday, we'll broadcast live on Radio Cayman. We'll have a Talk Today segment around the table. You can bring it through. All right. In seriousness, before we go to the break, those agencies you reference, Department of Environmental Health, Lands and Survey, the Lands and the Public Lands Commission, Planning, DCI,
Police,
and the police. So those are your sort of agencies as part of this task force.
Yes.
All right. We're going to pause and take a break. Let's give you another number if you want to call and ask questions about it, be a part of it. Maybe you just need us to re-emphasize something. Maybe you need to ask a question, you need to seek clarification. You want to share a comment. Well, if we're constructive, if we're cooperative, if we're willing to come together and collaborate, we might actually achieve something, right? 949-8837 or 1-800-534-8255. Let's pause quickly and take a short break.
Honey, our fridge has stopped working again. Everything in the freezer is melting. We need to get this repaired right away. I'm calling Brand Source Service.
When you need the very best appliance service, call Brand Source Service at 623-5000. Offering service and installation of all brands and models of appliances. Brand Source Service is Cayman's source for appliance parts and repairs, with qualified and experienced technicians and the island's largest stock of appliance parts. Brand Source Service will have your repair completed in a flash. So, whatever the problem is, call the experts at 623-5000. Brand Source Service, Dorsey Drive, Industrial Park. Telephone 623-5000. You know you've dreamed of that Mercedes. The smooth leather, the style. Ooh la la! With the Lions Club of Grand Cayman Benzarama. Now is your chance to make that dream come through. Get your ticket for the Benzarama fundraiser at Lorna's Gas Station in Bodden Town, West Bay Esso, Funky Tangs, Reflections, and South Coast Bar and Grill. As well at Event Pro. The Lions Club of Grand Cayman Benzarama fundraiser supports site screening, Christmas deliveries, restoration, and social services.
The Benzarama drawing will take place December 5th. All Benzarama tickets bought earlier this year are still valid.
For the record. For information that matters to you, the people. Hear from the government, the opposition, independents, and other experts on issues and solutions that affect you. For the record. Every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, tune into 89.9 and 93.9 FM from 7:30 to 9 a.m. for Cayman's new Straight Talk morning show. For the record.
I invite you to join me for the record. You are invited to be a part of this interesting and informative show. Embrace the opportunity to dialogue with your legislators, policymakers, and those charged with policy implementation.
For the record. Brought to you by
Coca-Cola. Available across the Cayman Islands from Tortuga Distributors.
Accept no substitutes. Taste the feeling with Coca-Cola. Spring into action with your education goals at UCCI in the spring 2021 semester. Start or continue your degree, take a short course, complete professional training, or your technical vocational studies. New students apply through the online application portal by December 4th. Visit ucci.edu.ky/admission. Call 623-8224 or you can email admission@ucci.edu.ky to get started.
Talk today. But I do have some questions. Talk today.
Cayman Islands' foremost listeners participation program.
Talk today.
Because there are more questions than answers.
What the public is saying.
Waiting to take your calls right now. Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
Hey, good afternoon and welcome. Thanks for calling. Thanks for sharing and thanks for listening. And if our listeners don't mind, I am honestly very grateful to be a part of the civil service family. The example and the exemplary conduct of people like Mr. Sims and Ms. Winsome. Oftentimes we don't see the service and the sacrifice. It's not that there isn't opportunity to complain and to feel like, oh well, things could be better. But when you see this level of commitment and passion, it makes you feel that wow, people are dedicated. So as we're looking at this whole issue of the Environmental Impact Task Force, and we can address things. So the legal garages. We won't beat up on that much more unless people have an issue. But what other sorts of things could be issues where the public would say, well, this is an environmental concern or this is public nuisance? What other things would fall under your ambit?
Well, so many.
Okay, well, we will have the exhaustive, but list them first.
The thing is, but what we're really here for to get people to understand, to talk about the derelicts, for sure. So we want those reported into us, because this initiative started really from 2018, right? When I first took over the DH, and between that period from October to May, we recovered over 1,200 vehicles, derelict vehicles. Since the task force started, right, we recovered over 350 vehicles from the roads. Now think about that for a second. That's a lot of vehicles, and you're thinking, okay, where we find space to put them in the landfill, right? So because you got to understand the whole operation. It's a whole bailing operation that goes on. Once they come in, we bail them, and put them in containers and ship them off island. So that's another subject, right? But what the thing is, what I want people to start looking out for in their neighborhoods is these derelict vehicles and the illegal dumping. What do you find, because like I said earlier, what baffles me is when you know that you can load up a truck or a car or whatever means, or these wooden trailers I see people throwing on stuff on. Yeah. You go through all of that effort of loading up that vehicle, and then now you're going to drive along the road and find some empty lot and then dump it off on illegally on somebody's property that you don't know these people. They haven't given you any permission to do so. Right. And those are the things that I really want to address, right? Because that's illegal, right? But the time and effort that people take to do that, just take it straight to the landfill. Even the same thing I see with the vehicles, right? Where people would strip these vehicles, and all it'll move from where it was first stripped to the top of the road. Just continue on to the landfill. It's welcome there. Yeah. We can deal with that, right? So I want people to start look around the neighborhoods and say, look, let's report these illegal dumping. People are taking advantage of people's properties, which is not right. You know what I mean?
No, we talk. Sorry.
Go ahead.
Yeah, we will certainly emphasize illegal dumping because it could be the empty lot in your neighborhood. It could be the dikes or undeveloped lands. Some people mine, other side, other mine, or certainly out of their visual space. But before we continue, can we just revisit? We got 3 comments and or messages. We'll take the last one first, simply because we have the annual bulk waste cleanup, and people will put things out in certain spaces and even in public spaces and the like. Right. Now, we're not talking about that. That's for a short time. Hopefully, we do it within that time frame. In your community, you put things out there to be removed. Right. Is there anything, just looking at this message, I'm thinking of cars in particular. Someone may drive up and say, well, we're taking away stuff, so let's park the car along the roadway now. Yeah. I will encourage it, but is there anything that we should not be putting out in this cleanup?
Right. Good question. Because a lot of people get confused with what bulk waste is and what that means for us, right?
Right.
When we talk about bulk waste, we're looking at your old furniture, your fridge, your stove, your old sofas,
appliances, your ACs,
right? Those bulk of stuff that that's what we're coming to get. Now, traditionally, we used to pick up cars during those periods, but because of the volume, and we already have this task force set aside dealing with derelict vehicles anyway, we don't want to take the derelict vehicles in this go round, right? Like I said, that because that operation will continue on beyond the bulk waste collection.
Yes.
All right. So if people have those cars, we encourage them to still make arrangements to take them to the landfill, or call us. We'll come around, collect it for $75 and take it to the landfill for you. So that is not included in the bulk waste collection, right?
Okay.
And we are in Bordentown this week. We should up until Saturday, and Bordentown is from Breakers to to Sports Newlands, right?
That's a big place.
Yeah. So
it's growing.
It's growing. Some people, you got to be careful how you speak about that area, because some people don't see themselves as bottom downers, but yeah.
I'll leave it to you.
In our map, right? Well,
yep. I'll leave that to you.
Yeah, so we're in those areas up until Saturday,
mm-hmm.
and then we move into Georgetown after that. Right?
Okay.
But put out the bulk items. But what I want to make sure people do is that don't put out any bulk items after we have passed the district.
Thank you for emphasizing that.
Yeah, because we're doing one sweep. We're not going to be coming back.
And Christmas is coming. I mean, that's one of the reasons why I think many of us traditionally will clean the yards, paint, and as children,
furniture and stuff.
Yeah, the chores that we do to make it good for Christmas, right? So you just go to your place nicely, but now you or your neighbor have put out the things that you want to get rid of. It don't look that good, I mean, the nice recipe with the spot egg into the batter, it not taste good.
No.
The same thing, right?
Absolutely. But I just want to make people remember that the 24-hour drop-off is so if we missed you,
mm-hmm.
for example, we have already passed East End and North Side. If you can make arrangements to get down to the landfill by your own means, the drop-off is there. It's open 24 hours a day.
Okay.
People can always drop off stuff there.
All right. If you don't mind, hopefully it doesn't take away too much from the discussion, but that drop-off, is it then that you come with stuff to drop off? You've got it properly packed and secured, and you put it in the vehicle that you safely can transport it? Because that's one thing I think we need to work on as well.
Yeah.
It doesn't blow to the car and cause it. Is there then, when you bring it there, that you have to take the metals in this section, the wood in that section?
Yes.
Is it?
Yeah.
Okay. So tell us about that.
But there are signs there. They don't tell you exactly where the metals go. So
right.
if you come in with mixed waste like that, for example, you have wood and metal. We encourage people to separate those.
Mm-hmm.
Just look at the container that are labeled.
Mm-hmm.
Metals go here. You put your metal stuff, metal waste there. So just follow the signs and you can't go wrong. There's actually a recyclable section as well. You can take your recyclables there. So instead of stopping at a depot, you go straight to the landfill if you have recyclables, and you can put them in each respective bins.
Okay. Can I just ask, since this one just popped up and it's right there in my view, can we put out a small generator? Read it as it's sent to us. So this one message says, can we put out a small generator? Is that during this time? That's okay?
Yeah.
All right. You heard it, And if it's any good, ask it no. All right. No, but this is where I think we have these opportunities, right? Now, in addition to all of this, two other comments we're talking about: the gardeners and the garden companies, and even us as probably homeowners will take our yard waste, the trees and the limbs and the stuff, and dump it in the lot next door. After all, it's just garden waste, right? How does that play into this whole thing of illegal dumping and the like?
Well,
let me make sure I read this correctly.
Yeah. In cases like that, you're actually littering. If you have no permission from that's the kind of thing we were talking about earlier. Because I've had homeowners come where they've been served abatement notice to clean the property.
Yeah.
And the first thing you'd hear from most of these homeowners, the landowner, well, I didn't give anybody permission to dump here, right? And then they're charged with responsibility of clearing the land. So, and I'm there trying to talk to these guys, these people, to say, listen, okay, well, I understand all of that, but you have to secure your property best you can. So you have to clear it, then fence it to make sure, and put up no trespassing sign and no dumping signs, so that your neighbors can understand that it's not for them to use, right? Because I don't understand how. Sometimes we have people in these neighborhoods. Full well that's not your property. Why are you going to be dumping stuff there and talking about it's just garden waste or whatever waste you might think it is?
Right.
It's not your property to dump on.
Okay.
So you're committing an offense, right? And one of the things that I want to touch on while you're talking about trees and all that kind of thing. What is also another thing that we find are nuisances as relates to neighbors and their properties, where trees are overhanging on the other's property. That's considered a nuisance under the public health law. You have a responsibility to trim your trees and keep it within your boundaries. And I would like to encourage, because I've seen where people have even properties that are close to the road, for example, and the trees overhanging in the main road. That's a nuisance, right? So you have a responsibility to clear up your property, make sure that those trees, because I can tell you for my crew, when it comes to collecting garbage, it prevents them from going through certain roads because the height of the tree, it blocks the truck because our trucks are high, so it can't go past. And then you find the persons living on the end of the street complaining about service because you can't get to them, and they're saying we're not collecting their garbage, and it's simply because the truck cannot pass your neighbor tree that is hanging over in the road. And so I'm hoping to see if we can, I'll have the team of environmental health officers go about, identifying these empty properties or properties that are occupied with overhanging trees onto the main road and onto people's properties. So we'll be serving abatement notices in relation
on
to
the owners.
On the owners, absolutely. Yeah.
Well, you see, All right. Well, we do have a quick break, Ms. Winston, but before we go, you want to make a comment?
What I also want to say is that the same applies for public lands. People believe that because it is public lands that they may take advantage of it, dumping stuff, having trees overhanging and all the rest of that. So we want to let the public know that public land is for public use, yes, but it's not for your personal and private use. So the same law would apply, is that you need to trim and clear and move these things as well.
All right. Well, let's pause quickly. When we come back, we really appreciate the information and opportunity, and certainly the invitation is there to continue for future discussions. But let's revisit after we return. Stay tuned for Talk Today.
Did you hear about the big giveaway from Clean K-Man?
They used to be J&D Sanitizing. Now I hear they're cleaning everything.
My wife just went online, booked and paid for our cleaning service. Plus, we could win a Kimpton staycation.
What you say? Just like that? Get a sparkling clean house, then go chill at the Kimpton?
Clean K-Man makes it easy. Click, book, pay.
Visit CleanKman.com. Book a residential cleaning service starting from $60 and up and win a free night at the Kimpton Seafire. Terms and conditions apply. Residential online bookings only. Promotion ends December 4th. Book now at CleanKman.com.
Do you remember when 2020 was great?
I don't think it was...
2020 vision, not the year.
Right.
Make 2020 great again with Optical Outlook, the new West Bay store now open. With their designer frames and sunglasses, eye health has never looked so good. Call 746-2020 and book your eye exam today at Caymanian Village and now at Jake Scott Plaza in West Bay, offering premier eye care in Cayman for over 30 years. Come see the difference with Optical Outlook.
King Sports Center takes pride in being more than just an ordinary gymnasium. For 14 years, their multi-purpose facility has been providing the community with a variety of sporting, recreational, and relaxation activities. King Sports Center has a bowling alley, lounge bar, multi-purpose rooms, powerhouse gym, rock climbing wall, bungee jumping, a 10,000 square foot rink, and so much more. For more information on the variety of services, call their friendly staff today at 946-5464 or email kings@candw.ky or visit www.kingsportscenter.com. King Sports Center, your one-stop shop for fitness, recreation, and relaxation.
Attention Caymanians, the registration deadline for the 2021 elections is January 4th. Caymanians turning 18 on or before the May 26 election may register now.
Every vote will count in our May 2021 general election.
In order to vote in the 2021 elections, you must register by the 4th of January. For more information, visit elections.ky or the elections office at Baytown Office Suites opposite the Wharf Restaurant.
Talk today. But I do have some questions. Talk today.
Cayman Islands' foremost listeners participation program.
Talk today.
Because there are more questions than answers.
What the public is saying.
Waiting to take your calls right now. Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
Hey, good afternoon and welcome back, and thanks for joining us. And thanks too for this opportunity, not just for the education and edification, but the knowledge that we can now be empowered to say, okay, if there's an issue relative to these, matters, we know who to call. So the environmental impact, so the task force, we don't have these impact assessments, but this is a task force getting things done. Mr. Richard Sims and Ms. Winston Pendergrass, thanks for joining us. So the public can call any of the responsible agencies. Expect a proactive response to it, and your remit is almost wide and encompassing, huh?
Yeah.
All right. Well, But I think it comes down to individual responsibility too. We have a part to play.
Yes, and that's, like I say, that's what the main message here. We want the community to make sure that they play their role, be responsible, and take care of the environment for which you live. And I just wanted to mention this to you. What annoyed me the other night. I was coming from Bordentown, and there's a vehicle going up. I go in the opposite direction because otherwise I would have gotten a registration number. But all of a sudden I see a Kentucky box just came out the window. And I'm like, okay, I mean, who are you expecting to pick that up? And why would somebody just feel the need to just do that? But we want people to think about that. I mean, just wait till you get to your destination.
Yeah, man.
Then you put it in your garbage and dispose of it properly. If you'll be amazed the amount of litter that we collect, because I have a litter crew that goes out every morning collecting litter off the streets. And you say, look at the volume of this.
Yeah.
How did we get here? Why do people feel the need to just throw stuff out their car? This. I'm hoping the police would see a lot more of this, because it's an offense to on the traffic law to throw objects from a vehicle.
But did we grow up with the mentality that cleanliness is next to godliness, right?
Yeah.
And if I did this, a friend, and then there was a caller that sort of alluded to something similar. We all fairly much drive the same route to and from work every day. I mean, fairly little deviation, partly because there's not much choice between where you go and where you come and returning, right? And she said, take a look, just use the week. In the morning when you go in, you look on your left, look at the road, is it clean, how is it? And then in the afternoon, look again, how much more debris? And just in that span of a few hours, it's clean this morning and it's filthy again by afternoon. As we go to the phones, Ms. Benson and Mr. Richard, just want to quickly read this message regarding the overhanging tree. Thanks for the information. So I keep having a problem with one of my neighbors who didn't want to trim her breadfruit tree. I thank heavens she seemed to have trimmed her side very recently, so I'm now going to trim the bit on my side of the fence. She usually doesn't want to be a real nuisance. So I think it's us understanding our responsibility and recognizing that we know to do these things so that we can make our communities safer, but working together. All right.
And I want to thank that person for that. That's showing true neighborly friendship.
And we should say that recently I went down into the swamp, and there's a pond down there, right? It's closer to the bypass, and I couldn't see the water. There's so many plastic bottles in that pond. It's just amazing how people would leave their homes and throw plastic bottles in a pond.
Wow. All right, we do have a caller, and as we go to the phones, a call asks the question offline about disposing of huge appliances like refrigerators and stuff. Is that okay to doing this bulk waste cleanup and the like?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah.
Perfect stuff. We'll remind you. Let's take up the other caller. Good afternoon and welcome. Thanks for calling.
Good afternoon.
Afternoon, ma'am. How are you?
Good afternoon. Fine. Good afternoon to you, panel.
Good afternoon.
I've been calling the radio for some time in regards to these trees hanging over our main streets. And it's like I'm talking to nobody about it, and I'm glad that you brought it up today in regards to landowners own these trees, and they're hanging over the road, and they're dangerous, and nothing is being done about it. And I feel that they should be penalized, or this is probably put on their property until they cut it off from hanging over the road, or if the government cut it off, make them pay, because we are getting away in this island with so much things right now. We got so much different nationalities here. The country had according to me first was named Paradise, now we call Caymankind, and they just take us for granted and just expect to just do as they please without maintaining what is hanging or what they have in their yard into another's person yard or our main streets that we have very little of. And I really truly appreciate you guys talking about it, because something needs to be done. We tried to South Sound, coming from Hurley's roundabout going to South Sound. That practically whole stretch is pure limbs hanging over our main streets. If we have a real disaster of a hurricane here, we're going to be blocked by these trees that are hanging over the main road because these people doesn't want to trim their trees.
Yeah.
And another thing, I really feel that we need to do something in regards to garbage, because in these rental, especially the rental places, they're not disposing of garbage properly. They just put it up there and expect our guys to pick it up. Our guys are human beings too, and they have to be respected. They're not just a garbage collector. They got a home to go back home to and a family, and the garbage need to be disposed properly for them to come out here 3 o'clock in the morning, 6 o'clock in the morning, or 2 o'clock in the broad daylight. You all need to penalize these people because then they are becoming Caymans are becoming a garbage dump. We're supposed to be the third or second tourism final destination. We're becoming a garbage dump because we got people here who don't care about this island. And we got to nip it in the bud.
Yeah, indeed. Well, thanks very much, Mom. And we need to do more. So thank you, Mom. I know it's the same as you and Miss Pendergast got other stuff, but as you were sharing, sir.
Yeah. And thank the caller for that, because, she raised a good point there. You have a lot of people who don't keep and care their enclosures properly, and then they expect us to come and clean it for them. But that's not how it works, because, you see, if you do something that, if you're not packaging your garbage properly, if it's all loose and all over your enclosure, we're not going to collect that, right? It needs to be properly bagged, and we'll collect it. Now, in cases like that, what I'm going to be tasking the environmental health officers to do now is to start look at these enclosures much closely, and we'll be serving abatement notices on the owner of the property to actually, go out there and clean up those things, because they're a nuisance. And you can imagine the amount of rodents and stuff can be produced as a result of you having all of these loose garbage in your enclosure and not cleaning it up.
Indeed.
Right?
It comes back to individual responsibility, as the caller referenced, a sign of respect for our community, ourselves.
Yeah.
All right. Any other sort of final thoughts you want to leave with us? Do you need...
just a couple of things. Just want to make sure that people understand, just so that they understand their roles and responsibilities as community members. Just don't rely on the task force to come and take actions for everything, but you can actually take actions yourself. Look at your surroundings and see what you can do better to enhance your surroundings. And if all of us take that approach in terms of, let me see, for example, as the lady just brought attention to the enclosure. If my enclosure is making the neighborhood look bad, why don't I just go out one evening with my family or whoever in the house and clean it up? If it starts with you, then there's no need for it to spill over then to the rest of the public, right? If you start your good deeds, what we want spill over is the good stuff, right? We want people to take care of the environment, live in a clean and safe environment. This week, like I said, we're still in the bulk collection. We're in Bordentown. We want people to put out their stuff, but don't put it out after we pass, right? Because then it'll be left to you and your responsibility to take it to the landfill thereafter. The task force is a wonderful thing. We have all these team of professional departments coming together to achieve one common goal, right? And so, like Ms. Winsor mentioned earlier, you call any one of us. And we'll certainly get to address whatever concerns that you have, whether it's an environmental issue, it's a planning issue, if a DCI issue in terms of land licensing and so on, and our Crown lands for which Ms. Winsor is responsible for. We want to let people understand that you just can't do anything that you want on Crown land, right? There are permissions to be had. You can use Crown land, but there's an application process. We want people to understand that, yes, you can do it, but you just ring the Department of Lands and find out how to go about making necessary applications for usage. But we'll continue to play a role in enforcing all the laws that are necessary, but we don't want to actually just keep charging people and prosecuting people, when they can actually do better, and that's the goal. We want people to do better, so that enforcement could be less.
Yeah, and thank you for that. And I think that this last message coming through says, one of the problems they're having is that in the neighborhood, landscapers, doing the yard, but instead of picking up, they're using those blowers and blowing everything back into join the neighbors.
Yeah.
So see, a common concern that I think a lot of us are experiencing here is perhaps one way now that we can address it and realize how we are negatively affecting us. Thank you each very much. I hope I get to see you between now and Christmas, but would you allow me to extend a very blessed, safe, merry, prosperous, and healthy Christmas and New Year?
Yes, and the same to you. And before we go, quickly, I would like to say that public land is for public use, but not for your own personal use. So those people who have in illegal garages storing vehicles and derelict vehicles and garbages on Crown land, I'm asking you, please to move it, because we're out and we're on a roll and we're going to dump those vehicles if they're there without permission, and they're causing a nuisance to the public.
There you go.
Yeah. And Stephen, Sterling, just want to say thank you for your wishes, and same to you and your family.
Amen.
I hope you get a lot of
turtle meat
and beef. And I just want to also, I always like to take the opportunity to thank my staff for all the hard work that they're doing. We have some real hard-working men and women who get up very early in the morning while we sleep and to go out there and clean our streets and our residents.
That's right.
And I appreciate all the hard work that they're doing. So it's always an opportunity to say thank you to them publicly for what they're doing.
Indeed.
So
they do a great job, man.
Yeah,
thank you. All right, we're going to pause, take our news break. When we come back, we want to read a couple of things that were sent to us. So join us after the news.
Today's biggest news.
Radio Cayman.
It's only 2 species that we have here on the island.
Generations present.
Your voice, your choice.
It is in the best interest of the people of these islands.
Local, regional, international. This is Headlines from Radio Cayman's newsroom.
Today's biggest news.
With your latest headlines, I'm Felicia Rankin-Solins. DART and Intercontinental Hotels and Resorts say if approved, the new Hotel Indigo will be opening its doors in Grand Cayman in 2024. Subject to approval from the Central Planning Authority, the 282-room hotel will be located on 7 Mile Beach. In international news, Amnesty International has condemned a sharp rise in the use of the death penalty in Egypt, accusing authorities of a horrifying execution spree. The campaign group said Egypt executed at least 57 people in October and November alone, nearly double the number recorded in the whole of 2019. A U.S. state of Georgia election official has said President Donald Trump will bear responsibility for any violence that results from unsubstantiated election fraud claims he has stoked. He cited intimidation and death threats to election workers. Georgia is carrying out a second recount of votes at the Trump camp's request. Joe Biden was declared a narrow winner in the key state. The rapper Drake has released a line of scented candles, one of which, quote, actually smells like Drake. The $80 candle called Carby Musk features notes of musk, amber, cashmere, suede, and velvet. It's his personal fragrance. These are your latest headlines. I'm Felicia Rankin-Solins.
For the latest in news and information,
follow Radio Cayman on social media, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. Download the Radio Cayman app or log on to our website, radiocayman.gov.ky.
Your voice, your choice, your radio.
You know you've dreamed of that Mercedes. The smooth leather, the style. Ooh la la! With the Lions Club of Grand Cayman Benzarama. Now is your chance to make that dream come through. Get your ticket for the Benzarama fundraiser at Lorna's gas station in Bodden Town, West Bay Esso, Funky Tangs, Reflections, and South Coast Bar and Grill. As well at Event Pro. The Lions Club of Grand Cayman Benzarama fundraiser supports site screening, Christmas deliveries, restoration, and social services.
The Benzarama drawing will take place December 5th. All Benzarama tickets bought earlier this year are still valid.
Friday, December the 4th at 12:15 p.m., our CI Retro Talk Today's focus will be on a prominent Cayman Islands personality's life's journey. And interesting it is.
I'm a Maryland boy. I was born down in Maryland, and I followed the adults everywhere they went. My grandfathers and all of those men, Captain Rail Borden and the Archies, I was there carrying their lunches, and I heard their stories, and that's when I became interested in the political and the historical narrative of the island.
That's Friday at 12:15 p.m. on Radio Cayman. CI Retro Talk Today.
Stronger, wider, higher, lighter.
The all-new Ford Ranger Raptor. Powerfully built with a 2.0 diesel Panther engine and 210 horsepower. Modern with leather interior and 8-inch touchscreen, Sync 3 technology and power features. Tough, built to handle the off-road with 4-wheel drive, terrain modes and 10-speed automatic transmission. Coming early October to Vamped Motors, Walkers Road. To find out more and to test drive the bold new Ford Ranger Raptor, visit Vamped Motors, Walkers Road, or call 949-8288.
Talk today. But I do have some questions. Talk today.
Cayman Islands' foremost listeners participation program.
Talk today.
Because there are more questions than answers.
What the public is saying.
Waging to take your calls right now. Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
Hey, good afternoon and welcome back. Thank you for joining us. And thanks too for being a part of the discussion. Now we're going to have some open line, and this is an opportunity to do a couple of things. We can read the stuff you send us. We can look at our WhatsApps. We can, more importantly, have you call and share your thoughts. It is open line 949-8037, or toll free with the compliments of Flow at 1-800-534-8255. Quick WhatsApp message, says, my thanks to those, guys in the Department of Environmental Health. Really appreciate their commitment and sacrifice. I most certainly wouldn't want to be getting up so early to go to work. I find it hard enough getting up at 6 a.m. to get to church at 7. Many thanks and all the best for the Christmas. God bless. Thanks to the listeners for sharing. And I think as Mr. Sims, took the opportunity to say to his team, that we appreciate it. Say thanks to them. We do recognize that they do a stellar job. We do recognize that what they do make not only our communities look a lot better, a lot safer. They keep it clean, and maybe we can do our part when we put it in our trash. So all we got to do, we bag it up, we carry it, and we put it in the garbage cans. I know sometimes it seems to be a chore and a challenge, and sometimes whether it's the dogs, the fowls, or even some of us, get in the way and make it a mess. But let's see what we can do. And if we live in apartment communities and the like, and there's a big dumpster or there's an enclosure, well, let's see what we can do to get it to work better, keep it clean. 1-800-534-8255 or 949-8037. And of course, you can WhatsApp 925-3261. Right, Miss Susan? Is that the number? 925? Was it? Come on, Miss Susan. Tell us what the number is. She wants to say. Oh, she says rough. I give her a hard time. Okay. Couple of quick WhatsApp messages. Let me read this one, and then let us read a couple others that came through, and then we'll get to it. But it's open line, so I want you to be, be a part of what we're sharing. So this one, messages and share. Do we know if how many people are monitoring the geofencing for those quarantining at home? And what kind of dashboard are they using? Also, is the system, if the system is not working, such as a bad battery or some other technical glitch, or weak signal, for example, how quickly are they troubleshooting this or fixing or changing the units? Relevant questions in terms of the monitoring and the like. We know that in the very early days, the question was posed at the political briefing that they were having in the afternoons, where all the assembled heads were given information, and it was just a handful with the expectation that the team would grow as necessary. But again, very relevant questions. We know the caller yesterday, we were reminded through that conversation that in the early days, seemingly responsible individuals who were, on their own initiative, informing the authorities that the devices seemingly weren't working, but not a timely response. Now, obviously, the inference can be, what if the person isn't as civic-minded and as responsible? So maybe the numbers monitoring and the way they're doing it, and the responsiveness and the timeliness to any technical issues, even battery sometimes. All right, 949-8037, 1-800-534-8255. It is open line as we invite you to call and share with us. All right, let's read this. I printed it off so it can be a little bit bigger font. Took me a minute to do that. Miss Susan showed me where the printer was. There was paper in the print. We'll reuse the other side as well, so don't worry. We'll be responsible. Then we will recycle the paper. I can't use it for anything else, so we'll just recycle it. All right. It says, if we all agree that where we are now isn't where our country should be, then we must also agree that it's the systematic failure of all politicians that's gotten us here. They therefore cannot be the prescribed method to take us out. It is not trading the old for the new. It is ensuring that the old ideas and self-serving missions don't prevent or hinder other visions. Change is not a good or a bad thing like most would argue, but a guarantee. As we prepare for change and not wait until it has taken place, we should not be afraid to ask ourselves, what will that change look like and how will I contribute? The first steps in making a difference is to get registered to vote and then actually going out and casting that vote. At this time, you should be educating yourself about the persons. I like the word people, but I just in deference to this guy. But the people putting themselves forward in your constituencies by asking and grilling them like it's an interview of a doctor going to do brain surgery on you. I think that's serious enough. Cayman needs to move towards an educated democracy and a political system that holds its servants accountable on every level, eliminating the double standards that are destroying our confidence in each other and creating divisions in an already divided people. Having such policies enshrined within our constitution will eventually heal our people's ability to unite. We have all become a product of our environment, which has subliminally oppressed our abilities with the propaganda that we must accept the system which is rigged against us, a war waged against us because of us. There is no time more relevant than right now, so as much as we can complain, doing nothing is the disease that created our current consequence, and change is the cure. Says Wake Up Cayman. Well, tell me what you thought about that. 949-8037, 1-800-534-8255, or you can WhatsApp 925-3261. I know it feels like it's, perhaps the 2050, but it's still 2020. It's only Wednesday, and it's still, early days in December. But it's a beautiful, blessed time, and maybe it's a opportune time for us to be grateful and gracious, to give thanks in the spirit of giving and thanksgiving. And as we look forward to what we have here, let's recognize our obligation equally in some cases, and sometimes, more so in one part, or in some instances than in others, to do any and everything positive and productive to make a very meaningful, lasting, beneficial impact to our society and for all of our inhabitants. 949-8037 or toll free at 1-800-534-8255. Now, the piece I just read was written by Mr. Mario D. Rankin, and it is great, I think, for us to, one, put our thoughts on paper, to share them in such a way that we can have it, voiced by others, and I would say not critiqued in the sense that we see it as being critical, but to engender conversation. You agree with any and all that is said, you agree with, some of it or none of it, but if your views aren't shared, and if you don't live in a society that, not just welcomes and invites, but ensures that your views can be shared publicly in a free manner without fear of reprisal on your part, without intimidation and victimization, without you being ostracized. And in fact, because you share your views, you're seen as a public champion, and then it encourages others to say, okay, well, George got up and George said, what we should, do this, this, and this. And you say, well, no, I think it's better that we do it this or that. And that's the notion. But we're allowing everything to be politicized and everything to somehow be, presented that creates a division. I'll give you as an example. I apologize. I saw it. I did not pay any heed to it until it was brought to my attention. The first time I cast my eyes to the left, I thought, nah. Then the second time, then the third time, and then, increasingly. Well, you tell me if I was looking and not seeing. You tell me if, my first reaction was correct, or like the many people who have commented on it. You're at the Polo Beach. I call it the West Bay Polo Beach. I see the sign says 7 Mile Polo Beach. It's that span of land between Harbour Heights and Clinton. Well, one of the public bathrooms has a red light in the front. Here's the criticisms that I've received. And what I say, if you received it from 3 people, you received it from 3,000. I've lost count of the number of people who have commented to me about it. I don't know in any order whether it was the issue of safety and that the light not that bright so you can't see. I don't know whether the complaint is that a red light district, is that what we're promoting? I don't know whether, as some have said, and these are the 3 top things that have been evident from what the people who have found it necessary to share their thoughts. I do, again, say I apologize. I saw it, but I didn't take note of it. The third thing was red. That must be the political party colors. Those are the 3 things that people have shared. Now, the third thing I thought, probably not, doesn't really matter. The red light district probably said facetiously. But the first one, the fact that it's not very well lit, the red light casts a very, low hue. You can't see too much. Maybe that's of concern. Public safety, people leaving the beach, and it's not that well illuminated. So maybe that's something that needs to be changed. The other 2 can be quickly addressed. Let's go to the phones, though. Good afternoon and welcome. Thanks for calling.
Good afternoon, Dwayne.
Hey, good afternoon, Mr. Ambassador. How are you today?
I'm all right, fine.
All right, man. Good to hear from you, man.
Is in this country Western Union can pick and choose who to serve or not to serve? Is that allowed to them by law?
Be honest with you, I would say no, but I do not know, and I don't know the circumstances under which. But as you aired before, you want to air it again?
Yeah, I mean, this place in town, Small Deal Outlet, is a place of racism.
How
and
so?
They are picking and choose who to serve in Western Union, who don't to serve.
Okay.
Because the woman nationality is non-Caymanian. She serving only her nationality. She calling and pick and choose who to serve.
Okay, so just give me the facts and the principles. How so? Is it a case that you go in and the woman who has a red hair only serving people with red hair? Or is it that how is she picking and choosing in your mind that is discriminating?
She pick and choose who to serve.
Okay. I tell you something okay, go ahead.
People in this country not to go to this Small Deal Outlet business because they are racist.
Okay. I hear your perspective. Let me ask you. I heard someone share something. See if this is similar. So they're at I guess that would be a public place, huh? Well, no. A government connected entity, right? And they're waiting to pick up stuff. So you're waiting, and people's names going to be called to come up. And someone said, interesting, this one is getting served now, and this one's getting served now, and all these people are waiting. Is it just that their stuff comes up first? Is it then, as you're sharing, that maybe you're picking and you're serving your own? I mean, how do you look at it?
I have to call the police for them because they are picking and choose who to serve.
Is it that statistically there are more of a group of people in one space than there are others? I mean, could it be just something as innocent as that, or do you think it's an overt, very deliberate attempt at favoring some over others?
It is a business. The Small Deal Outlet never employ one Caymanian, not even one single Caymanian.
Yeah.
And they are unprofessional treating people, and they are racist when they are pick and choose who they want to deal with.
Okay, I hear your frustration, but maybe 2 things, right? 2 things. One, as consumers, we can make that vote, with our wallets, so we can go to businesses where we feel more welcome and appreciated. So that's one thing to do. But secondly, again, perhaps it's attempt to pacify so much as anything else. But statistically, in the Cayman context, there are not that many people here, who would say, well, they're Caymanian. I mean, if there are 100,000 people, is the Caymanian population 10-15%? It's probably not that many. Even if you add in those who have Caymanian citizenship through status and otherwise, you're probably approaching 50%. So one of the two, half and half, right? So amazing. But again, to the caller's point, though, is it a case that these things are happening overtly and very deliberately? And if it is it on the instance of not just in businesses, but is it a growing divide that may be occurring in our educational institutions and other places? Is it not just in the private sector? Is it happening in public places? I mean, who knows? Well, perhaps it's an opportune time to look at how we can build a stronger community by embracing a greater sense of unity and appreciation, and not, continue to champion the divide, but equally not allowing behaviors of such to go unchecked. I appreciate the caller's comments. And final break, is that what we're taking, Miss Susan? Well, she's the director, the conductor, and everything else in between. So I just sit here in the seat and take for the ride. So who's going to share their thoughts with me when we return? Stay tuned for Talk Today.
Hey, I'm so glad you can make it this weekend.
Of course. Wow, this place is amazing. How did you find this?
I found it on Experience Cayman. They have so many staycation ideas.
I'll check it out, but for now, let's hit that pool.
Experience Cayman is a celebration of everything local. To rediscover all the best things to see and do in the Cayman Islands, visit gov.ky/Experience Cayman and follow Experience Cayman on Facebook and Instagram. Brought to you by the Ministry of Commerce, Planning and Infrastructure.
Now you can listen to Radio Cayman everywhere.
Everywhere.
Can you hear me now? Everywhere. Everywhere.
Yes, right from your Android or iPhone. Download the Radio Cayman app now on your Android or iOS phone.
The Radio Cayman app
is where you can listen to Radio Cayman everywhere you go.
Everywhere we go, we go. Everywhere we go, we go.
Find it in the Google Store, the Apple Store, or use the link at www.radiocayman.gov.ky.
Yes, now you can listen to Radio Cayman everywhere.
We bring the sacrifice of praise into the house of the Lord.
Radio Cayman, this is how we wake you up in the morning. Praise time on Radio Cayman.
Sing your praise to the Lord. Come on, everybody, stand up and sing one more. Hallelujah, give your praise to the Lord. United in Jesus Christ. We are the soldiers of the land.
Praise time.
Weekday mornings from 6 until 6:30.
There's a meeting up in heaven. Roll call. It's a name in the Lamb's Book of Life. Roll call, brother, sister. Roll call. If you don't stop shouting, if you don't stop dancing, we gon' put you out of our church.
Praise time.
Jesus in the morning, yeah.
Weekday mornings from 6 until 6:30.
Your song flowed through my lips. Your work moved through my hands. Your thoughts stay on my mind. Live in me.
Talk today. But I do have some questions. Talk today.
Cayman Islands' foremost listeners participation program.
Talk today.
Because there are more questions than answers.
What the public is saying.
Waiting to take your calls right now. Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
Good afternoon and welcome back. Thanks for sharing your thoughts with us. It is open line. Let's go straight to our phones. Good afternoon. Thanks for calling.
Good afternoon, Mr. Dwayne.
Hey, good afternoon, sir. How are you?
I'm good. Welcome back.
Thank you. It's good to be back, man.
I know you're one of those hard-working civil servants, so.
Boy, I don't know. Thank you for telling people that.
Okay. I know we don't have much time, so I have a number of issues I want to just get off my chest, but I will just have to call back another day.
Okay, well, please do make sure. But
Yeah.
share as much as you want now, we can get it going.
Yeah, no, but a little earlier, I think I had Luigi on. And we were talking about, Cayman Thanksgiving and this and that. And I think some of the last calls were talking about Caymanian. And that's one of my questions. What are we? Who are we? We are a British overseas territory. What do we have that is British in the island? Our law. Very little else. Culture, history, whatever, is English. A good percentage of Caymanians, I don't want to say most or least, but quite a few Caymanians probably know more about the U.S., for example, the U.S. election, the U.S. holidays, Thanksgiving. We all celebrate U.S. Thanksgiving. Well, I do not.
Even Mother's Day, right?
Sorry?
Even Mother's Day, we tend to keep the one celebrating in the U.S. as opposed to the one in the U.K.
Yeah. Now all of a sudden we got the U.S. Independence Day, July 4, as a big day in Cayman as well. But we don't celebrate things Caymanian.
Even though Constitutional Day is for the 2nd of July, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
So no, I mean, here all the politicians and some other people talking about this quote unquote country. I mean, we are a geographical unit, but we can't print our own money as we feel like. Our laws are have to be okayed by another power. And we call ourselves a country.
But we also now call our legislative assembly parliament now. So we have a chief justice. We have a lot of terms that would be indicative of an independent country.
Right. But a couple of days ago when the premier and his colleagues went to the overseas territory.
Well,
we are a territory.
A possession.
I mean, I suppose you could, right. We belong to somebody. I suppose you could say, yes, that we are a quote-unquote country. But I think when the people use the word country, they look at it more as an independent entity. Again, that's when it could be debated, but me personally just hate the word country as people are trying to apply it to us. I don't see us as a country.
Right.
We are a dependent territory of the UK.
Right. Are we then doing ourselves a great disservice in allowing not just the adoption, but promotion and almost forced acceptance of words? So we have a cabinet which seems to, again, give the connotation when you hear the word cabinet in terms of the political context, it's an independent nation. We have these other terms. Now, whether we had prime minister or premier or even chief minister, to a lesser extent, it almost wants to give that connotation. So is that deliberately because of the UK's convention when it comes to the unwritten constitution that this thing becomes accepted practice after uninterrupted time? Or are we just so full of ourselves that, what they say, just blow hards?
No, but I don't want to assume why they use these terms.
Why?
Yeah. I assume some things, but some things I am careful not to assume.
All right, fair enough. I hear you.
But no, Caymanians need to decide who we are. If we want to be an American territory, then let's apply to do that. But we are totally confused, and I think that is done by design, because when a people have no knowledge of who they are, where they came from, it's kind of difficult for them to know where they want to go, how to get there. And I mean, for example, our physical landscape I think, has been obliterated.
Mm-hmm.
And as a result, soon the only thing, quote unquote, Caymanian physical that you can see, you have to go to the museum or to the National Gallery to look at some paintings or pictures.
Photographs of the old people, maybe, yeah?
Yeah, there's nothing Caymanian left. I am convinced that is done by design, so that we Caymanians don't know who we are.
So what do we do about it then?
What do we do about it?
Yeah.
I suppose the one thing is that the political directorate should be the ones leading out front, ensuring that these things are preserved and protected.
Right.
I mean, look at you go to a number of other jurisdictions who have a tourist-related economy, and things cultural, historical, they try to preserve.
Right.
What do? You knock every damn thing down.
But we even superimpose other things on top of it and pass it off as such, from food to practice to other things.
Right.
So let me ask then, you reference the political directorate, right? But in that respect, and this is not I don't want the guys, their skins are not probably as thin as some of us thick, but they're probably not as thick as some of us would expect either, right? So we now have made some constitutional adjustments that are going to be terming them MPs, and now we're going to be calling it a parliament. But if it's only a namesake, and there's no more authority, no more autonomy, no more greater accountability, no more greater responsibility, right?
Yeah.
Right? When I say the two comparatives, it's not as deliberate. If everything is still subject to all these things, are these incremental changes that are going to be foisted upon us, or is this just that, again, we're catering to something else? I mean, I recognize the time, but I wonder if I can engage you. Yeah.
No, I'm going to have a call back, my love.
Susan is cracking a switch on you too, eh? Boy, I tell you, boy. As soon as we get a licking going, we can't get a ticket coming. All right. That's it then?
No, but you said I got to go, so I will call back another time.
Yeah, boy. I hear it, boy. You won't believe who's in charge. You start now. All right. Well, maybe something to think about.
I know who we're the band.
Boy, nah. I gotta leave that bill. I gotta leave that bill.
All right.
All right, bro.
Leave in the parking lot.
Yep. I'll come by and check you at some point. All right?
Okay, man.
Thanks again, man. All the best to you.
And to you and all the rest of the staff.
Yeah, thank you. Now, the caller, someone will recognize and certainly will be able to quickly take on board that the comments are meant to engage us into a little bit of thought leadership. And maybe as we think about it, perhaps as easy as it may be for some of us to take things in a negative way and what they say, blow it out of proportion. Let's see if we can meditate upon it and figure out how we can move us forward, that we improve, we become better, we become safer, stronger society that is unified, recognizing our differences, but bringing us together so that we can celebrate as one. We look at places that talk about, you pluribus unum. We look at places that speak to the whole issue that, house divided can't stand. We look at places that, call on, in the Christian context, on God as Father and Savior. But the question is it more than just words? Even if it's echoed on a Sunday or Saturday, or whether it's repeated before, a parliamentary proceeding, or whether it's invoked as we get out some other ceremonial function. Well, we ask you to be a part of the continuing dialogue, discourse, and discussion. We ask you to find ways to bring a stronger sense of unity to our community. And we invite you to call Miss Susan right now, 949-6990, and make a request. It's a Wednesday afternoon, and she plays great music as we go up to the 3 p.m., the 6 Super Jam with her great on-air talent. Come back tomorrow for the Buzz. Join us for Talk Today right after the midday news and midday meditation. Youth Flex will get us up between 4 and 5. So Radio Cayman has all the bases covered. Until tomorrow, be blessed.